Hello, this is Greg Prado, author of the books Take It Off, Kiss Truly Unmasked, as well as the Eric Carr story, amongst many others. You're listening to the Shout It Out Loudcast with Tom and Zeus. Rock and roll!
And reports tonight on how destruction is impacting the campus community.
Names of O'Hara Hall, Skid Row, T-Zone, Banff.
Badass motherfuckers.
Soft, sit on my face.
Drinking like fucking ass pre-gaming, as we call it. What is this dorm damage bill on our tuition statement?
Dorm damage?
Well, we only broke like 3 chairs and 4 desks this month.
Is that a positive thing? Bam! That's right. We're back with another episode of Dorm Damage, the show where anything and everything is on the table and the table gets smashed. Perfect sentiment for this special episode, episode 65. And this week, we have a returning guest, but we're not talking Kiss. We're talking smashing tables and wrestling. The host of the awesome Busted Open on Sirius XM, the great Dave LaGreca, joins us again. Dave, welcome to the show to talk some wrestling, buddy.
I hope we do talk some Kiss.
We always talk.
You know what? We were talking before the show.
Yes.
Because we talked after a couple days after the show. You had called me and you were telling me about what you thought about the last show. Let's have the listeners tell us what you think, you and Bully.
Ahead. Yeah.
We saw you at Madison Square Garden at the last show. What did you guys think of the end of the last show for Kiss?
Well, by the way, this is kind of like a cool side note.
Yeah.
Bully Ray and I were the last 2 people to leave Madison Square Garden at the last Kiss concert. Like,
how the hell did that happen?
2 fans to walk out of the arena of the last Kiss concert. And
you know why? I know why, because you guys had the fucking stack of gold bars and you took it out the back door, right?
Him and Bully were waiting for something else to happen after the avatars came on the screen.
No, so true story. So one of the producers of like the pay-per-view, and he was doing like interviews for the pre and post show for the pay-per-view, Guns. Radio guy, used to work at Sirius XM. Before the concert, and we were, Bully and I were tailgating at Stout before the concert, bar in the city. He said, "Would you guys be cool to be guests in the post pay-per-view show?" And we're like, "Hell yeah, that'd be awesome." So when the concert was over, and we're all in a haze because of the Avatar thing, we're like, "What the fuck was that?" We're like, "What the hell is this?" And then he has like a lackey come over to get us, right? So we're like in the lower section. So we're coming. So we go down the stairs, and at the Garden in the lower section, there's like one row that goes completely around. Like the stairs don't go all the way down. Like there'll be a couple of rows of chairs in the way, right? Okay. So we get down there. The guy's right there. The entrance is right there. So I start to climb over a row of chairs. From out of nowhere, security just surrounds me and was like, "You can't do that." I was like, "Listen, we're doing this show. The producer's right there." He's like, "If you walk over those chairs, we're throwing you out of the building."
Oh, jeez.
So so how do we get down? We had to go, I'm not lying, all the way around to the other side of the arena. So we go down the stairs, and then there's a whole rigmarole, because there's people, they're clearing out the chairs.
Yeah.
They're clearing out the stage. Finally, we get back to where we need to be. By the time we get there, pay-per-view show's over.
Oh, no.
We missed our window. We completely missed our window.
Oh.
So we're like, now that time, it's completely empty, except for the roadies tearing the stage down.
Yeah.
So then security's like, "All right, you got to get out of here. Get out of here." So we're like, "All right." And security's like, "Where are you going?" It's like, "Well, I got to go back around to the other side." "No, just climb over these chairs." Are you serious right now?
Perfect.
Madison Square Garden. Don't even get me started. But
nice. You know what it is? We always talk about it. Is these people that don't usually have power or authority in their lives.
Oh, yeah.
Those security guards and things like that. They have that little bit of power. And that guy is so much of a dick to be like, there's nobody here. No, you can't climb. Go around.
No, and you know what? And me and Billy were like, no, you know what? We don't want to break the rules. We're going to go around. And they're yelling at him. No, we're going to go the other way. So, we're leaving. There's no more. Everybody's gone. And as I'm walking out, there's this table. And behind the table are just stacks of boxes that say Kiss on it. Uh-oh. Like on the outside of the box.
Yeah.
So I peek over the table, and then inside the boxes are all these smaller black boxes that say Kiss on it.
The gold bars.
So I say to the security guy, I go, what's in the box? And he's like, nothing. I go, oh, no, is that something for like the No, it's nothing. And like, I just saw like all these security guys carrying out these boxes. And
there you go.
And honest to God, at the time, I had no idea.
Yeah, no one knew.
I was driving home from the concert, and I was listening to Eddie Trunk, and then I heard fans like calling in and saying that, you know, that there were like these bars that they were giving out. So I had no idea. No idea.
Wow.
Well, I'll tell you something real funny. When we first met Jericho, we saw AEW's second show.
Yeah.
That was at Agganis Arena at BU. That was
in Boston. Yep, that's right, Boston.
And at the end of the show, this is our first time meeting him. I finally got Chris gave me his number. We were texting him. And we tried to do the same thing. He's like, oh, come on down when the show ends.
We're like, we can't.
We started walking down, and, you know, security's like, get the fuck out of here. You know, we'll throw you out. Get out of here. Move. We don't care. We're like, no, but wait. Like, move. And next thing you know, like, this is the first time. This is like, we just had started the show. All of a sudden, my phone's ringing. Jericho. Chris Jericho's calling me. Holy shit, Tom, he's calling. And he's like, where are you? And I'm like, they're throwing us out. He's like, whoever's walked down, the first guy that you see, put him on the phone. I'm like, what? I get down there, put him on security. Get the fuck out. I'm like, hey, he wants to talk to you. Who's that? One of the performers. Chris is like, hey, these are my friends. I'm right down here. And he's way down in the ring area. And he's like, bring them down. I just performed. They're my friends. Bring them down. And we're like, we just met this guy. This guy went out of his way to pull that.
He's the man.
Jericho, man.
Sit down and we're like, he takes a photo. That time he had the belt. So he got the belt. He takes photos with us.
Awesome.
And his first time meeting us, really, he's just like, so what's your favorite Kiss album? So you like this album better? Do you like the makeup? Like he's asking us questions. And I'm like, dude, I remember when you debuted on Monday Night Raw. And you're asking me questions. I want to ask you questions.
Yeah, right.
That's how cool he is.
Yeah. He's the man, and it's so funny with him because I was on the last Jericho cruise and Quarantine played.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's
they're all friends of ours.
Yeah, we've had them all
like
on.
The scene from Step Brothers. Yeah. You know, like they only play 80s Billy Joel, or like they only do the 80s Kiss, but
that's right.
Like, he's one of the few people I know that got into Kiss in the 80s. Like everybody I know that are Kiss fans, they all got into it in the 70s.
The makeup,
school, you know?
Yeah, he loves it. He loves it. And listen, hey, we're just like, that was the first that we met, you know. And then what we find is all these people from different areas, like wrestlers and comedians and things like that, when they get a chance to talk about things outside their profession, they really want to do it. Like, I don't even know if I've ever talked to Chris about wrestling. He doesn't want to. He wants to talk to me about fucking...
That's his full-time job. So
and
he
he's
wants
told
to talk
me that.
Music and
that's what they
else.
do on the road. They love to talk about music. They love to throw out, I like Dio. I like this band. I like this. You know, they talk about music. They don't want to talk about the same old shit all the time.
Yep.
And so he's been fantastic to us. And, and then we got to meet you guys. We got a couple other wrestlers that we got coming up in the book too, as well, that we got.
Awesome.
And they've just been awesome people. Awesome.
All right. So let me ask you both a question. Cause I'm assuming like Zeus, what year did you get into Kiss?
Oh, like Tom, we're the same. We, I got into him when I'm 15. So is Tom. So we both got into him 76, 77.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So same with me. So do you think if you were Jericho and you didn't know Kiss and you didn't follow Kiss and you started listening to them in the 80s, would you be as a passionate fan of Kiss now if you didn't hear them in the 70s and then you got into them in the 80s?
Probably not,
No,
because because we probably would have taken them as just another 80s rock
like
band.
Rat or Motley Crue.
Like another Rat type, hair band, glam 80s hard rock band. Oh yeah, it's different.
Yeah, growing up with Kiss and having the costumes, that's your first makeup band. That's the first albums you bought.
And you grow up with
the trading cards. It's that niche fanaticism that Kiss has.
Yeah,
like wrestling, like Star Wars, as Jericho says. Those three things. It's just different.
Yeah, and we were 5 years old when Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park came out, the solo albums, the Halloween costumes, the dolls, when it was merch crazy. So you couldn't escape it. So if we started getting into Kiss when like Animalize came out,
you're missing something.
No one even cared about Kiss when Animalize came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just I feel the same way. I like some. I mean, I love some of the '80s stuff, but man, I can't imagine falling in love with Kiss if you didn't fall in love with them in their heyday in the '70s.
Agreed.
Oh, absolutely,
everywhere. It was everywhere.
Yeah, and it was just the nostalgia part of it, and hence this week's topic, wrestling. Same thing with us. So what I want to do is, because obviously your listeners know, but some of ours may not know. I'm going to go through it. Let's start with Tom, because this should probably be the easiest. How did you get into wrestling? What's your first memories of wrestling and things like that?
So for me, just full disclosure, I am not the wrestling goons that David and Zeus are. Okay. These guys know wrestling the way that me and Zeus know Kiss. So I'm a very casual wrestling fan. I can carry on a conversation. I know who's who and what's what, but I can't tell you who won WrestleMania 4, or I can't tell you any of that shit. But I grew up loving wrestling when it was in its heydays in the 80s and the 90s. And I was telling Zeus last night, and I finally found it on a wrestling website. I went to one wrestling match, the Boston Garden in 1985 with my dad. And I'll never forget my dad. He was like terrified because the thing just broke out. So it was amazing. Cause I said to Zeus, like some of the matchups you had Don Morocco versus Bret Hart, the Junkyard Dog versus Bob Orton, WWF Tag Team Championship, Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo against Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov.
That was awesome.
Snuka defeated Piper via a disqualification because Bob Orton attacked Snuka as Snuka had Piper. Okay. Piper and Orton then double teamed Snuka, threw down the ref, and then Snuka cleared the ring with a chair, and it turned into mayhem. Like the fans were just going batshit. And I remember I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. My dad's like, where the fuck am I right now? So I followed it. I know all the characters. I know all, like when we went to AEW, with Jericho, we right in the front. I had an amazing time. It was awesome. So I'm a little bit of I'm a fan, but not the way you guys are. But I know who's who, and I know what's going on, especially now with social media and now our friendship with you, Dave. I know what's going on. So yeah,
I understand. And you know what? My wife always said, my wife is from Poland. She's Polish, and she said that if you have a full head of hair, you're not fully evolved. Fully evolved men have no hair.
Like me, I'm completely bald.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you watch videos, like all the doctors and surgeons and lawyers and all those, like they're all bald because, and I think part of my fandom of wrestling is because I'm not fully evolved. I'm fully evolved.
Yeah, you got a nice head of hair, David. You do something about that.
That's great. That's great. So how did you get into it, Dave? I'm curious.
Oh, it's like, man, it's about 42 years ago now.
Okay.
Actually, 43 years. I was by my buddy's house, my buddy Jeff, and he was watching Georgia Championship Wrestling on WTBS on Saturdays. And I had never watched it before, but I've heard of it. So he asked me, he goes, do you watch wrestling? I said, isn't that fake? And he goes, no. He goes, the WWF is fake. This is the NWA. It's real. This is real. So I was like, really? I had no idea. So the first year as a fan, I just strictly watched Georgia Championship Wrestling thinking that it was real. Yep. And then I started getting the magazines. I started watching more stuff. And then I understood the magic of it. But yeah, that's how I got into it. The first time I saw it was Tommy Rich and Buzz Sawyer. And it's kind of like the same story of my first cup of coffee. Like I had never had a cup of coffee. And then I had my cup of coffee. And then every day since, I've had a cup of coffee. It's the same thing with wrestling. Like, ever since the first time I watched it, I probably watched wrestling every day of my life since. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So for me, my parents came right off the boat from Greece. My grandfather, who, everybody loves their grandfather, used to watch wrestling. I've told this story. It's the immigrant's perfect TV. My grandfather didn't speak any English. He could watch cowboy movies, John Wayne movies, and wrestling. That's the good guy. That's the bad guy. I can get the story. Oh my God, he's got it behind his back. What's the ref doing? Why are they looking? He loved it. He used to get into the biggest fights with my dad. My dad would be like, Dad, it's fake. Come on. He's not even hitting him. My grandfather would flip out, lose his temper on him. Shut up. This is so real. He's a bad person. I don't know. Regardless, he took us when I was little to the Boston Garden as well. This is when Albano switched or screwed over Snooker.
Yeah.
And I saw Snooker in a cage match against Captain Lou and saw Snooker jump off the cage. And back then they weren't holding back. He lands on him.
No, and if I remember that match correctly, like Captain Lou was like a bloody mess.
Oh, he was. I thought it was like he was going to be taken out in an ambulance. It was incredible. I don't know how my grandfather got us there, not speaking a lick of English, got us to the garden, got us back, but he did.
Yep.
And he got me into it. I watched wrestling since then. He used to watch like the Ric Flairs and the Von Erichs because anytime he was on, he would catch it. I don't know how, because I don't think he had cable back then, but somehow he was able to watch those matches on his flip the channel or some kind of a weird configuration and get those matches. Yep. I was WWE, well, WWF back then.
WWF, yeah.
And then I remembered exactly where I was when Hogan beat the Iron Sheik. And watching Rocky III, and then it just changed. I remember Bob Backlund. My grandfather used to love Tony Garea and Rick Martel, the Wild Samoans, all that shit. So I grew up through all that era. I watched wrestling all the way through until the beginning of WCW and WWE. When I was started going to college, I stopped watching for a little bit, a few years there, before the the NWO took off. Yeah, I got into it a little late. Yeah, I got into it a little late. Yeah. My brother came back from college, and he didn't watch wrestling much. But when he came back from college, he was telling me how awesome they used to watch wrestling all the time. Like, what? Wrestling's cool? Next thing I know, I see Stone Cold holding celebrity death match, doing remember he was like the claymation guy doing the ref stuff. I'm like, this guy's cool. I started watching it back again. And then I got to see when two of our guys who've been on this show debuted on Monday Night Raw, which is, you have no idea what a thrill that is for me. I saw Jericho come on wrestling WWE that first time and Who Are You? And The Rock does it doesn't matter. And then when Bully came on and he does the stuttering when he's being the Bubba Ray, and The Rock does, it doesn't matter. To me, those are two of my favorite segments, and to have those two guys been on our show is just, for me, such a blessing. But
no, that's awesome. It shows you what good a job that you guys are doing, because you're like the voice of Kiss. Because
I don't know if that's a positive thing, though.
Yeah, well,
I'll take it.
It's a positive. You're like the voice of Kiss to the fan. You're like the fan's voice.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate that.
You're not
Thank
buried
you.
in the industry. You're not like in that respect. So I think the connection you have with your fans is because you're fans.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. And the same thing with you in wrestling. So I've just continued watching it. This is my thing. I DVR it all. I don't like watching live. I like fast forwarding the commercials. And if I see a match I'm not too interested in, I don't know, friggin' a couple like mid-card or something I'm not that interested, I'll fast forward a little bit of it. I stop at the talking segments because I always love the drama, and that makes part of the show. But I'll watch every AEW show between Collision, Dynamite, and whatever, and then every WrestleMania, every WWE, from SmackDown to Raw. I tape it. I watch every pay-per-view. So I kept up with it all along, but I never listened to podcasts. I tried a couple. Right. It's one of those things where that's why we did our own Kiss podcast. And I'm going to get somewhere with this point.
Go ahead.
I love Kiss. And so does Tom. And Tom is like, hey, we can do this. And he listened to podcasts. I didn't. He was the one who was like, we can do this. And I tried listening. I'm like, it's good because I love the topic, but this is boring. How do you make Kiss boring?
Exactly.
I tried that with wrestling shows. It's too technical. There's just
too serious. It's too serious.
Yeah. There's something about you and your crew that you come out as a fan, a passionate fan, and you have a perspective and opinion that you can articulate. It's not too technical. And then you'll have somebody like Bully Ray that comes in and talks about psychology of wrestling. Things that I would never think of. Only a wrestler in the business gets it. So he can talk to those people in that kind of atmosphere. And same with him, Mark Henry. And now you have Nick on as well. It's just, you get the best of both worlds. It's not boring. You've made listening to wrestling podcasts fun. And you're the only ones I can listen to.
I appreciate
and Chris too. And Chris, but Chris doesn't do wrestling much.
No, he does like a lot of
and I do like his show.
Wrestling, which I like too.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate you saying that, but that's why I like the dynamic, like I mentioned with you guys, that you're fans of Kiss. So you're going to give the fans perspective. There's not going to be any political mumbo jumbo.
No.
Because, it's going to be straight like what you feel and what you think as a fan. Because listen, I was listening to some shows on like the last Kiss concert where they're like, oh, Paul Stanley was lip syncing. I'm like, then you must not have gone to the same show that I went. I feel like unless you were there, you can't talk about it.
I agree.
You guys were there. You guys were there because you wanted to be there because as diehard fans, there was no way you were going to miss the last Kiss show. That was not going to happen.
That's right.
So I respect that. And again, same thing with Busted Open is I am not a journalist. I am not a writer. I am a fan of wrestling. Mm-hmm. So my perspective is strictly as the fan. And then, Bully and everybody else that's a part of the show gives the wrestler's perspective of it. But I'm always going to just be the fan. So.
However, you got a little bit more than just a fan. You, and I'm going to give you credit, completely changed, in my opinion, the biggest WrestleMania. I think you yourself changed it because it was going to be The Rock and Roman Reigns, and you fucking flipped out. It's legendary now. And you had your pink robe on.
Oh, yeah. Where's the pink robe, David?
The pink robe is actually in the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Do you believe that?
Nice. That's amazing.
You were so pissed off that Cody Rhodes, in your opinion, got screwed out of it.
Because he did.
And you got a movement going. Next thing you know, I'm watching The Rock cut a fucking Instagram photo shitting on my friend David. And going, I'm like, holy awesome. Fuck, he's impacted it that much.
Yep.
And you literally changed it.
Well, I mean, listen, if you want to say in some small way, I mean, obviously I'm not the person who changed it.
Don't cut yourself. Don't sell yourself short.
What I did is I used my platform to express how frustrated and angry I was.
Yeah.
Because they were changing the direction. And so did everybody else. Like, everybody in their small way, whether it was, signs in the crowd or chants in the crowd or even a tweet saying how pissed off they were. It really did start a movement of the Cody Crybabies.
Yeah, that's
the best.
I was an easy target for The Rock because, the YouTube video is out there where, the morning of, like, I'm wearing my black robe. And I say to my wife, I said, you know what? I'm not going to shower. I'm just going to go down, do the show in my robe. And she goes, what would be better? Put my robe on.
So no way.
Idea. She gave me her pink Victoria's Secret robe, and I wore that. Didn't shower, didn't comb my hair, and I just went on the air that day and ranted and raved. And
awesome.
Lucky for me, it went viral all the way to like The Rock commenting on it, even though he completely shit all over me, which was
that was great, though. It was so good.
I'm curious. Is it still like flattering, even if it's him shitting on you? Like, you have The Rock addressing you. That must have fucking felt good, even if he's giving you a hard time.
Zeus, in all honesty, this whole thing is like surreal, like everything.
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure.
You know, last night I'm watching the A&E bio on ECW, and I'm in it. And
yeah,
like,
I saw. Yeah,
I'm like, what world? Or, you know, seeing a fan holding up a LaGreca head, like, it just, the whole thing is so surreal to me that.
Yep.
But you've earned it, my friend. You've earned it. Your show has earned it. You guys impact it because people have to tune into you. And I know there are other podcasts, wrestling podcasts. We're not going to sit there and compare, but to me, I've tried them. At least me. I find your show, for anybody who likes wrestling, that's the place to be.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But I also, like, for me, I celebrate everybody. So, like, if anybody has a podcast, they're welcome to come on the show and promote it. Like, I want to see everybody succeed. I want to see everybody thrive. Like, I'm not going to crap on another show or another podcast because they're all in the same game as me.
Right.
I mean, I got to give credit a lot of ways to the old regime at Sirius XM because we have a new regime, which is absolutely fantastic. But there was an old regime that just didn't want to see this show succeed and tried every way to just bury this show. And that just made me do more and fight more and get louder. And it actually pushed me and the show to be better. Yep. But I'm very thankful that there's a crew in place. The executives now at Sirius XM are totally behind the show. They love the show.
Well, they should be. Your ratings are fucking great.
That
awesome. Helps. But you know, it's like, dude, you always want the people, the decision makers, to be behind you, and we have that, which is good, definitely helpful.
One last thing I want to add is I love how you guys started doing all those short clips. So I use X, Twitter, whatever, and I love when you put the YouTube clips up there or the short clips of you guys talking about a subject matter. Because all it does, you know, we all live busy lives. Oh, shit, they got a new episode. Oh, they're talking about this. Makes you go back to the podcast, listen to the whole thing. But I love the videos and watching you guys put those clips up. And they a lot of them go viral. I fucking love them.
Well, I mean, that's the great thing about our brand is that you have the live show 3 hours a day, 7 days a week on Sirius XM. But then you have the podcast that's free. You know, you can subscribe to the Busted Open podcast. And then we're on YouTube as well. And then there's the social media. That's why it's so different now, guys. Like, you know, it's just like with music. You can't go by album sales anymore. With radio, you can't go by ratings anymore. Like, there's so many different ways to listen to something now.
Yeah, the metrics are so different now. It's different.
It's unbelievable. Right. It's unbelievable. So it's just there's so many different ways to consume media now. It's crazy.
Well, we're going to talk about wrestling. We're going to name our favorite, not the best, not the most technical, just our favorite wrestlers. And that's top 10. We're going to start with that. At the end, I have a couple quick questions. I want to pick your brain about some topics, hot topics in wrestling. I just want to pick your brain. But let's start off number 10. And you don't have to go in order if these aren't in order. You're our guest.
Well, first of all, it's got to be in order. I hate when you do and I hear this a lot, people doing like top 10s and, you know, they're like, oh yeah, this one. Wait a second. You start with 10 and you end with 1. That's the way you do it.
All right. Well, let me tell you something though about that. When we first talked before you and Bully were together, and we talked to Bully and I said to him to come on our show and he's like, okay, what do you want to do? I said, how about a top 10 best Kiss opening track? I don't do top 10 lists. That's what he said to me. I hope you guys don't do top 10 lists because that's what he said. I don't do them.
So we did our WrestleMania party, and we did like a whole thing with the pink robe. I actually have a picture here of like everybody at the stadium before.
That was awesome. I seen that online.
Yeah. Holy shit!
So like Tommy wore the pink robe, Mark Henry wore it. The only person who wouldn't wear the pink robe, Bully. He refused to wear the pink robe. He's too cool for school. He's that
of
guy.
course.
Yeah, that's funny you say that. I'll tell you what he said for us for the book. It's fucking hilarious. It's so in character for him, but I'll tell you afterwards. But anyways, let's get your number 10. How's that?
All right. Now, again, these are favorites, not best.
Correct.
Wait,
that's right.
Hold on
that's
a second,
right.
because you keep changing this.
No,
So is this your favorite of
all
the
time? No, all time.
All time?
All time. All time, David. Get on it.
All right. So now I got to reconfigure this again, because when I was first given the homework assignment,
Oh, here we go.
it was top 10 80s.
We changed it.
We changed
On
it
the
because
fly.
we changed it because we knew you were going to be late. So we said
We changed it while you were grocery shopping.
Yeah, so let's fuck
Well,
with
I
him
mean,
back.
if you want to bring the dirty laundry on the air, this is 100% true.
Uh-oh.
So I completely forgot. We were going to tape this at 4:30, and 4:30 comes, and I get a text from Zeus like, "Hey, did you get my email? Like, where are you?" And then, dude, but I rushed back. I got home in record time. I was sweating. I'm soaked. Like, I got back.
And we're
in
like,
time.
Dave, it's no problem. It's okay. And then he's like, and we're like, as long as you send us a fruit basket, we'll be fine. We're all good. We're good. We're good.
All right. So now we're talking top 10 favorite wrestlers of
all time. Correct.
All right. So here's the thing. Hulk Hogan, trendsetter, on my Mount Rushmore. I believe, in my opinion, number 2 greatest wrestler of all time. Probably the most popular wrestler of all time, most iconic wrestler of all time. He is not in my top 10. I was never a fan of Hogan.
That's fine.
Wow.
So Hogan not in my top 10 of all time favorite wrestlers.
Okay, that's good. So tell us who so tell us who is number 10.
At number 10, because you got to include the women.
Of
Because
course.
the women are trendsetters as well.
Yep.
At number 10, I have Charlotte Flair, daughter of Ric Flair.
Nice.
In my opinion, the greatest women's wrestler of all time. Number 10,
Really?
Charlotte Flair.
Excellent.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Now, so number 10 for me, I'm going because I love this guy growing up, but I also loved his sidekick / manager. Because when you're a young guy, because when you're a young boy, she's hot. And I'm going with Macho Man / Miss Elizabeth at number 10.
All right, so you're putting Macho Man in there too, because
It's Macho Man, but one of the reasons is because of Miss Elizabeth as well. Although I love Macho Man too. Yes. So I got him at number 10.
That.
Yep.
Did you ever see his baseball card without the beard and everything? So weird looking.
It's weird.
Yeah, very strange.
Him and fucking doing Slim Jims and all that shit.
All right.
Go ahead, Zeus.
My 10 is I don't think he's really active much these days, but his nephew is very big now on WWE, and that's Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner.
Okay.
I fucking love, like, there's certain guys that just look like a badass that even outside of wrestling, that you're like, I would not fuck with this guy. Or even in the ring, that I'd be scared if I gave him a stiff shot, that he just doesn't turn around and just fucking break my neck. He looked like a badass. The whole look, that his whole size, his whole, like, the siren entrance, and his sayings are just legendary to me. You know, Big Papa Pump got your hook up, and that whole math segment he did. But there's one segment that sticks out for me, and that is they had an NWO segment. It was like him and Nash and somebody else, and this little kid was like, "Oh, can I have my photo with you guys?" He's like, "Sure, kid." And they're just about to snap the photo, and Papa Pump flexes his muscle, and he's got that Popeye type bicep.
Yeah, the bicep.
Where the bicep, there's another little level to the bicep, which just grows, and it grew so much that it blocked the kid's face. The photo, I thought it was the funniest thing. I love him. I know he's kind of a loose cannon, but to me, when I saw him, I was glued. Big Pump drew my attention.
Okay. All right. David.
All right, David.
Now we're not doing tag teams, right? We're just doing.
If you do tag teams, you that's one. Like, you can do.
Yeah, that'll count. So that'll count as one wrestler if you do a tag team. You can do that.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Number 9, guy that we were just talking about, Chris Jericho.
Okay.
You know, Chris Jericho's in my top 10 of all time when it comes to just wrestlers, but as far as a favorite, it's hard to argue Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, definitely one of my favorite wrestlers, no doubt.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure we'll talk about him again in the future of this list.
Yeah.
Number 9 for me was a huge one when I was at that young age of watching wrestling. His name, his appearance, the guy was an absolute badass. It's the Ultimate Warrior.
Okay.
Absolutely love this guy. First of all, the face paint, of course, it combined stuff that I love with Kiss, stuff that I love with friggin' hair metal and hard rock, and just he was the ultimate in his name, the Ultimate Warrior. Yep.
That's go ahead.
So quick little trivia. His theme, there's a part of his theme that they ripped off from Highway Star by Deep Purple. If you go back and listen to the theme, it was actually like they stole the hook from Highway Star. If you go back,
listen to
okay.
Nobody's gonna do my.
Yeah.
I think I'm picking up what you're talking about now. Oh shit.
Yep.
Wow, that changes a lot now.
Yep.
Yeah. I love those segments, and there'll be like YouTube clips when you're high on cocaine, and it's always like him and Hogan talking to like the sky and just these crazy sayings he's saying. But yeah, the Ultimate Warrior, just that's such an 80s kind of image I have of him. All right. Number 9 for me. He is the five-time WCW champion. There's nobody better than Booker T, man.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking loved him. And when at the end they gave him his due towards the end of WCW, I fucking loved it. I loved it with Harlem Heat. I thought he was talented. He had the look. And one of the things that I always felt was, and it was and it pissed me off, is they never really let the WCW guys take over when they came over originally. Like they weren't.
Yeah, they didn't.
Sting didn't beat Triple H, which I never understood. All those other guys. I mean, Jericho was one of them that actually took over, but Booker T didn't do that well there. And again, and a bunch of other guys, they held them back a little bit. Booker T should have been a champ, a bigger name than he is, but he's so fucking entertaining that he takes over, and they can't, like, the crowd loves him, the fans love him, and he's still part of WWE now.
Yeah, and he got screwed, like Bash at the Beach 2000. He ultimately won the championship, but it was all like
is that what the whole Jeff Jarrett Hogan thing?
It was all wonky. And then you're right, WrestleMania, the whole story was like Triple H being such an asshole to Booker T. And then Triple H wins. It made no sense. Like it was prime for Booker T to beat Triple H. So, but yeah, Booker T is awesome. I love Booker T.
I love him.
Great job on commentary for NXT.
Yeah, and he's just so funny. And that Spinneroonie and the tell me you didn't just say that. That whole Stone Cold at the supermarket shit. Come on, that's fucking legendary stuff.
Yep. Love it.
Yeah. Number 8 for you, brother.
All right, number 8, Roddy Piper.
Oh.
I mean, Piper I hated him. I loved him, then I hated him, then I loved him again.
Yeah.
I loved him in Georgia Championship Wrestling, then I hated him when he came over to the WWF, and he was like managing, at first he was like managing Dr. D. David Schultz and Paul Orndorff, and then he got into that feud with Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Yep.
And the Piper's Pit, which, by the way, just a couple weeks ago is the 40th anniversary of that Piper's Pit.
Oh,
the coconut?
Piper hit him in the head with the coconut.
So good.
Amazing.
Yep.
And then I fell back in love with him again. And his match with Adrian Adonis at WrestleMania 3 is one of the most underrated classic matches of all time.
Whatever happened to that poor guy? His nickname was Adonis. He was like a good-looking young guy, like with Jesse Body Ventura. I remember him coming in, and then all of a sudden became like a 400-pound wearing like the flower shop, and like
he blew up, but not in a good way. Like he blew up.
Yeah.
He blew up, but Roddy Piper, and again, one of my all-time favorite movies is They Live.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah. We might hear about that again a little later.
So, okay, Roddy Piper at 8 for me.
Roddy Piper also had that funny segment with that jobber guy. What was his name? Was it Freddie or Frankie Rodriguez? The guy that never won a match.
Yes. That was Frankie Williams. It was Frankie Williams.
Yeah, you're not very good at wrestling or whatever he was doing. It was fucking hilarious. he could think on his feet as good as anyone. Tom, all right.
So number 8 for me is a more current modern wrestler. Caught him for the first time when we went to AEW in Boston. I actually follow him now a little bit because I just think he's a badass. I'm anxious to see what you two wrestling nerds think of him, of course. And that's Cody Rhodes.
You want to know what Dave thinks about him?
Yes, I do.
I am a big fan of Cody Rhodes.
You could say that.
And the thing about Cody is everything that you see with Cody, he shouldn't be as popular as he is.
Right.
You know, he comes to the ring with a suit on, like not very relatable to the fans.
Oh, that stupid neck tattoo.
Yeah, he's got the neck tattoo that turned people off. He's got, you know, this vocabulary where it sounds almost like he's talking over your head.
Oh, totally.
Cutting a promo. But for whatever reason, it works. The guy's a genius. He really does remind me a lot of his dad as far as like,
yes,
you know, and I really don't think AEW has ever recovered from him leaving.
From him leaving. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I don't even think they booked him correctly there.
No.
And he couldn't challenge for the championship because he didn't want people to think that, he was taking over because like, come on, buddy. And they really like held him down, I think. And it really, I think, caused the problem. They didn't allow him to grow. He should have been like either the good guy that brings the company, wants the company to go one way, and then you got the misfits trying to take it another way, good versus evil. But I don't know what they did with him. It was just terrible.
Yeah, and then
mismanaged.
He goes to WWF and becomes the biggest star in the world.
Imagine
right now.
So I know, amazing.
Yeah, you may be hearing his name later on.
Yeah, I had a feeling that.
I'm sure. Zeus, number 8 for you.
All right, so number 8 for me, I'm going to go with a kind of a controversial guy, and I think he's coming up on someone's show. And that is Goldberg. Right? You have him coming on your show, don't you?
I do. Goldberg's coming on. He's going to be talking about that new 4-part documentary, Who Killed WCW, which is excellent.
Yep.
All right. So I got to say this. This is the difference. I feel like with wrestling, there are the Bret Hart type of people, and then there are Goldberg, Hogan type of people. People that aren't into the background, don't buy the magazines, don't go to the websites. They just enjoy watching Raw or Dynamite and just watch the program and will go to the show. They don't get into the drama and the gossip and all the stuff. Hogan, Goldberg is fascinating TV in wrestling to me. They just fucking know how to do it. And I'm sorry they don't know 110 moves to impress you. They only have to do 5. And it still fucking steals the show. They know how to get you excited. They have something about their charisma, personality. Goldberg had it. That whole fucking entrance with the officers and then the fucking lightning and him coming out and throwing somebody off the rope, spearing him and doing that crazy look and then jackhammering. I'm sorry. That fucking makes my, like, I get goosebumps thinking about how awesome that was.
I was never a big Goldberg guy. Though I was a WCW guy, so I appreciated Goldberg. Man, that, you know, in '98, when with a 1-week build for him against Hogan, a 1-week build, and they had 45,000 fans at the Dome in Atlanta. Think about that, for a 1-week build, 45,000 fans, and that entire arena, that entire stadium cheered Goldberg as he beat Hogan. For the championship. I mean, dude, you go back and watch that and the reaction of the fans when he beats Hogan, it's one of the biggest, loudest pops I've ever heard.
And that's, to me, what I enjoy about wrestling. It's do I watch this and believe in the theater that I'm watching? This big, massive, fucking insane looking bastard just squash some guy. That is incredible to me. To me, I know and I'm not trying to insult them, like the lucha stuff and all the other fly. Oh, I did 15 flips in the air. You weigh 140 pounds. You did a fucking somersault. That's not going to hurt anybody. Throwing someone, Goldberg threw you off the ropes and speared you. You're like, holy fucking shit.
Yeah, no, like, you're right, man.
It worked for me. And the fact of the matter is, I know he has his detractors and maybe sometimes later on as he got older, those matches weren't as good. Even the ones we had with Lesnar in the beginning, those were fucking awesome. And there were 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I don't care. It worked. Bill Goldberg is just fucking insane. And for me, I used to really like and respect Bret Hart. I can't deal with him whining about Bill Goldberg for fucking anytime I see him or Hogan or whatever. I can't stand it. Great. Fucking 110 moves, Bret. Doesn't make you better for me to watch.
And I got to tell you, and this is an unpopular opinion, I side with Shawn Michaels in the whole Montreal screw job too. Like the whole screw job.
I agree with you.
Because it's like,
I agree with you.
I can't lose in the whole country. If it was Calgary, all right, maybe I can understand. But Montreal, that'd be like, I can't lose in California, though I come from Jersey. It's like, come on now. Come on.
Yeah, it was fucking, look, he just takes it way too serious and just fucking let things go, buddy. If you let a lot of the other stuff go, you should have let this go. I just watched him shit on somebody else again about Triple H. He was shitting on, if Triple H is running things, it'll go down the fucking tube. Well, Triple H is running things, and right now WWE's never been fucking hotter.
The biggest business they've ever done, and that's saying something.
Yeah,
so
and Triple H is running. Yeah, and so that negativity and that just constant fucking whining, and then I don't care. Bill Goldberg is just one of those guys. He's entertaining to watch. And again, he doesn't have to be the best technical wrestler. He's my favorite. He's just one of my favorites.
Okay. That's what the list is.
7. You, buddy.
7. My turn?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Terry Funk.
Oh. Terry Funk. Nice.
And the reason I always love Terry Funk, by the way, if we had a top 10 list of the greatest of all time, he's number 2. He's
really?
number 2 on my list of greatest of all time. He's on my Mount Rushmore. That guy could be a mat technical wrestler in the NWA in the 70s. He could be an over-the-top character in the 80s. And then he could be like this hardcore legend, setting people on fire and going through tables and doing moonsaults off the top rope in his 50s in the 90s.
Yep.
The late, great Terry Funk to me. And I love him. And he's number 7 on my favorite wrestlers. Yeah.
Is it because he's in Roadhouse too?
And he's in Roadhouse.
Yep.
He's over the top. He's in Over the Top too.
That's great movie.
I remember him.
Movie.
Because he wasn't in WWE during its heyday in the 80s, but I know he had some appearances here and there. I just remembered him, the 90s guy. Like, oh no, tonight on WCW, Terry Funk is going to be on gasoline and tax and fucking fighting somebody over a chainsaw in a ladder match. Like, what the fuck? That guy was insane.
Yeah, he was crazy, man.
Number 7 for me is strictly appearance based. It's definitely, I think, well, you guys would know more than me, kind of a failed experiment. But of course, because we're a KISS podcast, I'm throwing Demon Dale Torborg on my list just because I think he's fucking absolutely badass looking. I hoped and prayed that when this happened that it was going to turn into something big, and it didn't, and whatever. But I just think, and we met him at Creatures Fest in Nashville, and the guy's fucking gigantic, and he was cool, and I got to put him on my list.
Yeah, I got for that last KISS show, I got to hang with him.
Yep.
With Bully and Missy Hyatt and Medusa. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome. So you're right. I was into it too, man. I was totally into it, being a KISS fan. I thought it was the coolest thing. And then he did that VH1. There was that special on VH1 on KISS.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that, I can't remember the name of it, but I had high hopes. It didn't pan out.
It didn't pan out. Nope.
But I understand, as a big KISS fan, I get it.
Yeah, he wasn't the original, though.
The original Demon?
No. When they brought him out, I watched it live.
Yeah.
And then KISS played God of Thunder. And they're like, and like Paul and Gene at the end were like, he's here. And he came out and stepped out. I thought it was, what's the name? The big guy, Adams. That was the original Demon. And then Dale Torborg took over. So he wasn't the original. They made him into a jobber. Like, he's the fucking Demon. Like, that doesn't work. Like, I think he was part of like Vampiro's clique of misfits and stuff. And
well, the funny thing, Dave, is that the Demon, his debut match, he lost to Terry Funk. That's so, which is kind of funny right there. See that we just named off Terry Funk. So.
He's the god of thunder, and he just got his ass kicked by Terry Funk.
Exactly. Zeus, number 7.
All right, number 7 for me. I'm gonna go with a guy that I wasn't that big of a fan during and I was a big WCW guy during the heyday of the wars, but he just grew on me, and I have just so much respect for him, and that is Sting. Just such a fucking class act. And you know how it is with wrestling. Everybody's got at least one bad thing to say about one person. I've never heard a bad thing ever said about Sting. Just either his performance are always great behind, outside the ring, in the ring. Everybody loves Sting. He's just such a class act. So awesome. He had the right size, the right look, the right moves. And when NWO was taken over and that fucking whole, the Crow was the big movie, and there's Sting back from the dead because they, they're all, and he's like, the vigilante up top on the fucking stadium and stuff. Oh man. And then he would come down and Schiavone's, it's Sting, and just awesome.
How about the fact he just retired?
And he was still looking good.
He was still diving off of like the mezzanine section. It's crazy.
Yep.
Great shape.
Yep.
He had a great look about him and the makeup and everything. Yeah. And plus he had different incarnations of Sting, right?
Yeah.
Different version. I just find him to be such a person you root for because you hear of what a class act he is too. I love Sting. He's awesome.
Nice.
I get it, man. I get it.
Dave, number 6.
All right, number 6, the Fabulous Freebirds. Teams there, the Fabulous Freebirds. I loved world-class championship wrestling. I hated the Von Erichs.
Really?
The Fabulous Freebirds. I even have I have it right here, Michael Hayes' solo album that he put out.
Oh my, look at that cover.
Dude, look at that Paul Stanley chest hair. Can you show that one more time?
He was showing it, brother. He was showing
God.
He had no shame.
Dude, the blonde hair with the brown beard. What a look.
I think their entrance is one of the greatest entrance themes of all time, Bad Street USA. So and they were just like, they were what they were. Like they were just like crazy maniacs.
And 3 of them.
Yeah, Buddy Roberts and Terry Gordy and Michael Hayes. And then I love how they went to the WWF and they were there for like a week and got fired. Because I think
But Michael Hayes has been there for like 50 years now, though, as behind the scenes with WWE, right?
Yeah.
So somehow it worked for him because he came back.
So he's the Freebirds, fantastic. So my number 6, the Fabulous Freebirds.
Nice.
Wow.
All right, number 6 for me is one of the guys who, in terms of theatrics, for me, my style, my liking, the kind of themes that I love, and I would urge anybody to go back on YouTube and search for his match from 2014 against Brock Lesnar when he rises out of the coffin in the pitch black, The Undertaker at number 6. Fucking guy. Again, I'm not a huge wrestling guy like you guys are, but the guys that I really like, and I've always been a huge fan of The Undertaker since day one.
I love The Undertaker. When Undertaker showed up at WrestleMania 40, lights go out, comes on, and he choke slammed The Rock. Oh my God. I went absolutely nuts, man. Yeah. I love The Undertaker. You'll hear from him later.
I'm sure.
Just the fact that the lights go out and you hear the bell.
Oh, it's
nothing. There's nothing in wrestling. You don't have to do it. You don't have to say it's The Undertaker. You know. And he's had some legendary performances and stuff.
So good.
That's a great one. All right. So number 6 for me. I'm wearing his shirt.
Yes, you are.
Theme. We do his theme at the end of the show. And that is Ravishing Rick Rude. Talk about having the look. He was built for the 80s.
Oh,
and Bobby Heenan.
Oh, God, yeah.
And he would pick out for the Rude. What was the thing you do? Was it the Rude Awakening where you'd pick out the girl and give him a kiss?
Oh, yeah.
In the crowd.
Yes.
And then they would be like, and then you'd hear Jesse, oh, not her. Oh, not her.
Yeah.
And there'd be some guy oh, look at this guy. And then I don't know if you ever recall that one time Jesse goes and he lets it slip because it's on YouTube and you're like, who's that? Pat Patterson? Oh, Jesse. Like, we're all kids.
Yeah, right.
Pick up on that, but it's like, oh, look, it's Pat Patterson. I was like, oh, Jesus.
Yep.
Like kissing the girls, bringing them out, and doing that music.
Oh my God, he was awesome.
That whole thing with the snake's wife and wearing her face on his.
Oh, that was awesome. Yes.
Daryl Roberts, and he had his.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that was just. He was just. And I would try to find these clips from different times over YouTube of different cities where he'd just be like, cut the music. What I'd like now. And everybody, there was a different segment for all you Cincinnati sweat hogs.
Yeah.
Keep the noise down while I show your ladies what a real sexy man looks like.
Such a character.
Get my music. And they do the dance.
Oh,
dude,
so
there is nothing funnier than him walking in. And there's a few of them that are really good about it. And the cheap pops they get nowadays, you insult the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
But there's another one that'll come up that knows how to do it correctly. He was the best at it. He just knew how to fucking dig out a city, make them hate him. And he was a great wrestler, too.
Oh, he was.
I remember the story. I think it was Nash that was telling the story of how, like, being in the car ride and they're all fucking swearing and talking about shit. And he's like, hey, stop swearing in my presence or whatever. And he's like smoking a joint and drinking and driving. But like, he's just a character, man. It's too bad he died young, but Rick Rude was fucking awesome. Love him.
Oh, yeah. Dave, number 5.
All right, number 5, Cody Rhodes.
There you go.
Cody.
Okay.
Cody, I think he's the face of the place right now at one of the biggest points in the history of the WWF. And that story going into WrestleMania 40, I thought was fantastic. I was one of those people that was screaming and yelling when he lost at WrestleMania 39 out in LA. And he's the guy right now. So my number 5, Cody, and he's a really good dude, guys. Seriously, he is a really good dude. So
nice.
How
Cody
pissed
Rhodes
off were you when he lost at 39? Did you?
Oh my God.
Were you like me? Like, oh, he's gonna win it. It's obvious he's gonna win it.
I thought for sure. And then the next morning, I went on a rant about I couldn't believe, and I did the show with Bully Ray and Mark Henry, and they were like, "Wait a year, think about how big he's going to be come WrestleMania 40 if he has a rematch at WrestleMania 40." And they couldn't have been more right. It would have been the worst decision putting that belt on him at 39.
Yeah.
The fact they waited the year and it was perfect. Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Number 5 for me, I have to have a female on my list as Dave did. Again, I'm not going to pretend to know her, titles or this or that. All I know is that I'm sorry, she is stunningly gorgeous. Definitely one of my top, celebrity crushes. She's checks off the box of stunningly gorgeous, cute. She's a little fire plug. Number 5, Alexa Bliss.
Oh, you're a big fan of Alexa Bliss? Huh?
Oh my God. I know she took a little bit of a hiatus, I believe.
Yeah,
she was on like a little bit of a leave.
She married some rock star.
Yes.
They just had a family.
Yep.
But she's been seen with Kiss shirts on, David.
Oh, she's a Kiss fan. Yeah, she's a Kiss fan.
So she gets the retweets and stuff, and that's an excuse for us to post photos of her.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, listen, that's fine. It's favorite. So
it's favorite. That's right. It's favorite.
So I totally get it. I totally get it. Good choice, Tom.
So I remember when she came out and there was the 4 horsemen of women.
Yep.
And they were all like, oh, who's going to win the next title? And then she came out and she won that first thing against, what's her name there? Now I'm drawing a blank.
If I remember, was it Bailey or Becky?
No, it was Becky.
Becky Lynch?
Like everyone expected Becky Lynch to
yeah.
And all of a sudden she won the belt. And everyone's like, what the fuck? Where did this come from?
Yep.
And she just got more and more popular. And I think a lot of the purists are like, dude, she's not as good as a wrestler as these ones.
Oh,
but
yeah.
This is a Vince kind of decision. Put the belt on her.
Oh, put it on her.
But, she's a star. Let's just say that.
Exactly.
Oh, no,
She's a star.
got the it factor. She has that it factor.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
Just gorgeous
That's
and
right.
good personality on her. So,
What do you got, Zeus, for number 5?
Number 5 for me. I'm going to put him in my top 5 so he doesn't yell at me.
Oh, I know.
I got to put Jericho in his many incarnations.
Yep.
Never mind the fact that he's always been a great technical wrestler. He can wrestle with all of them. I fucking was so pissed the night that he won that unified championship in the first one. And it was like the biggest thing. He beat The Rock and Stone Cold to win that. Do you know how huge that is?
That was a great
to be
moment,
the first to be the first to do that. And he beat those two guys. I definitely thought it was either going to be, well, they got to give it to The Rock or Stone Cold. And I think they made the better decision by like, why let that debate continue? Let's give it to the third guy and build him
Right.
up.
Smart.
And the one thing about Chris is I love that he always changes. He's always got a new pickup line, line, whatever the fuck you want to catchphrase.
Yep.
And it just works. He's the only one I know that could go toe to toe with The Rock with the same. I'll never forget when he went and did the thing with The Rock and he's like going back and forth and he's like, just bring it. Just bring what? A Fig Newton? What the fuck is that? Like, oh, just.
He's so good.
And the fact that when he came out, that debut was one of the greatest debuts I've ever seen. That coming out on Monday Night Raw and the fucking countdown to Jericho, whatever it was back, the millennium. What he used to call it? I forget what it was.
The whole millennium thing. It was.
Yeah. And it would always go deep in the clock. And then he came out. He had this fucking rock star look. And he just went right at The Rock. Like, fuck you, I'm going at the big guy. And he held his own on the mic with The Rock back and forth. It blew me away. He won me over because I wasn't a big fan at WCW. But when he came there, it's one of those guys sometimes, like on a bad team, you don't notice him. Put him with some good players, this guy will be a stud.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, too, I think the biggest thing about Jericho and why I love and appreciate him so much is because, like you said, he keeps changing his character. It's never the same.
Yes.
Oh, the one he's doing now is hilarious.
Yeah,
hi guys.
Always changing. Always, he really is like he's the David Bowie of pro wrestling. Like
and he loves David Bowie. Yeah, we know that. Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, I have such an appreciation for the fact that, and just when you hear him talk about wrestling and the business side of it, and that he always bets on himself. Yeah, that's a good deal, but I'm better than that. I can do this. I'm going to go over here and do this.
Yep.
And he's usually never wrong. And he succeeds at whatever he does. And I just find his fucking stuff hilarious. When he went that one thing we used to do in WCW, what was it?
The list.
The list.
Oh, the list is awesome.
Where he was reading. No, not the you made the list.
Oh.
The other one, where he's like reading off all his moves because Dean Malenko said he had 1,000 moves, so he came out and he had a scroll with him. It's like, I have 1,001 moves, and then
went to break, and he's still come back from break, and he's still
break, and he's like,
fantastic, fantastic, man.
Yeah, and he's like, arm drag, and then he's like, fucking going, just hilarious. And I got to get my hat to Chris. All right,
Dave, number 4,
Undertaker.
There you go.
Everything that you
All right.
just said, like the Undertaker, his WrestleMania streak.
Yep.
His WrestleMania matches were bigger than whatever the championship matches were that year.
Yep.
And the gong, lights go out, the gong, it's still, even now, like I said, WrestleMania 40 still gave me goosebumps.
Yep.
So, Undertaker at number 4.
Nice.
That's awesome.
All right. Number 4 for me, I mean, people our age captured the imagination of every young kid. Sent himself off into the stratosphere as Thunder Lips and Rocky 3. It's Hulk Hogan. He put wrestling on the map for a lot of kids that didn't really know what wrestling was. So it's got to be Hogan. Dynamic personality, and again, his character of Thunder Lips and Rocky 3 is just fucking fantastic. I love the guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I'll have something to say about him.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Number 4 for me, he's up there with all the greats. I think doesn't get as much as he should, and he still looks fan-fucking-tastic. He still can wrestle with the best of them, and that's Randy Orton.
Okay, nice.
Randy Orton's amazing.
Anytime I used to play the wrestling games on EA Sports, any of that stuff,
yeah,
Randy Orton's the perfect guy. I would always use him.
Nice.
Got the best. Like, if I could be a wrestler and have a wrestler's body, him.
Yep.
Perfect shape.
Yeah.
Perfect size. Perfect moves. Everything. Not too big. Not too thin.
Yep.
He's gotten better over time with the mic and stuff, but and he has the best fucking closer. It just finishes.
The RKO is great.
It's just when he hits it and he's just, I can't explain it. I think he's been steady since he first fucking came in. I don't remember any time where he's dropped and been like mid-card level. He's been at the top since he's come out, and he deserves it.
And I think you're right. I think he's so good that people overlook him. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
He's almost underrated in the way that, like, he's flawless, but yet people, when they talk about the greatest of all time, they don't mention Randy Orton.
No. Yep. And I think he's just been steadily great to incredible his whole career.
Yep.
And just some injuries there. So
that's a good
All
one.
right. Top 3. Dave, what do you got? Number 3.
All right. Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Excellent.
Excellent. And it's funny because I was saying earlier on in the show that early on as a fan, I watched Georgia Championship Wrestling. Mm-hmm. What got me watching the WWF was Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
When he came over.
Like, oh my gosh, man. And it's that iconic picture of him. And he did it twice. The once with Don Morocco, but the one where he was facing Bob Backlund and he was on top of the cage and blood in his face and in his eyes. And yeah, I mean, iconic. Jimmy Superfly Snuka. And listen, I know there's obviously a lot that happened behind the scenes with him, outside the ring with him. But if you go purely by what we saw on TV and what we saw in the ring, Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Nice. All right, number 3 for me. He'll like me better than the two of you because I have him ranked the highest. I got Jericho at 3.
I can't argue. He's in all of our top 10 now.
Yeah, he's awesome. Everybody loves Jericho, so I think we've showered him with enough praise. So we can move on.
Plus, he's a Kiss fan. How's that?
Exactly.
Yes.
All right.
What do you got for 3?
Number 3, and then honestly, this guy made it so tough for me when he ends up fighting John Cena, because he's my favorite from the Attitude Era, and that is The Rock.
Oh, yeah.
Not Stone Cold, not Triple H, The Rock. I mean, I don't even know where to begin when you talk about him on the mic. Never mind him in the ring. Just another guy with the perfect size.
Oh, my God.
Perfect look.
Yep.
Perfect on the mic. All around. Just charisma flying off the charts. What he's done for the business and his, and I like his movies. I love his stuff. And I know lately he's been taking a little bit of a hit to his PR and stuff, but I think The Rock is just of those, he's the guy that I don't mind if they say he's the best of all time or the greatest of all time.
Yep.
I won't argue that. I just think he's just, you can't touch how much he is better than everybody else on the mic and incredible in the ring.
And that's why he's become like one of the biggest box office stars in the last 20 years.
Charisma, like you said, just ripping off of him. Exactly.
And plus he's a big Elvis fan, so of course.
Yeah.
Can't forget that. Number 2, brother.
All right, number 2. And I think they had the greatest entrance theme of all time. To me, they're the greatest tag team of all time, and that's the Road Warriors. When they come out with Iron Man,
yes,
it just blew me away. I mean, when I remember first seeing them, and I think the first time I saw them, they wrestled like this tag team, the Mulkey Brothers, that were like, 185 pounds between the two of them, and the Road Warriors just beat the living shit out of them. So for me at number 2, the Road Warriors, greatest tag team of all time, the Road Warriors.
Yep.
And the look, just that look was so ahead of its time.
It was
because nobody was really doing that kind of thing. And then
no,
then I think WWF really fucked them a little bit.
Oh yeah,
the whole Legion of Doom shit and changing stuff and just whatever.
Yeah. All right, my top 2 was very easy. As soon as we got this episode, I'm like, my number 1 and 2 are easy. The rankings flip-flopped a little bit, but I settled on this. So number 2, David already had him a little bit higher, but one of my favorite characters of all time, Piper's Pit, They Live, all that. I love the guy, Piper, Roddy Piper.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, the guy love the guy. I mean, that's the kind of guy that you just couldn't not be entertained by. I mean, just amazing.
Totally agree, Tom. Great call.
So the thing about Piper that I remember is like you had said earlier, Dave, I didn't remember him outside of WWF. I never saw him. So when he came, all I thought of him was a manager for Paul Orndorff. I don't remember him as a wrestler.
Right.
And then he was in that first WrestleMania, obviously, with Mr. T and Hogan. And then afterwards, I saw him wrestle a little bit. But I never thought of him as a wrestler. I just thought he was a manager, a bad manager.
Right.
A bad guy, you know?
Yep.
But obviously, the ring stuff came in later, and it's a shame he never won a championship.
I never did, but he didn't need to. I mean, he was just super over. And if you've never seen it, go watch Starrcade '83, and it's on Peacock. Yeah, him against Greg Valentine in a dog collar match. Oh, amazing!
Greg the Hammer.
Yeah. Dude, he is one of my least favorite wrestlers. I used to watch him. I used to be like, there's nothing like, the Hammer. McMahon must have loved him. I don't know what they were doing together, but he didn't have like a good body. He wasn't look super fat. To be like a big guy, and he wasn't like jacked or anything. He just
that's when wrestlers were like
wrestler.
That's when wrestlers were like big and doughy. Like,
but I wanted to see like an Ivan Putski or something, like somebody fucking jacked in there.
Right.
And then you got this goofball with the mullet. Just. But I remember I told that to Jericho once. He's like, "Oh, that guy's a fucking tough as nails." That guy.
Oh, he probably is. But
and I'm like, really? That
guy? So who do you got at number 2, Zeus?
All right, number 2.
Greg the Hammer.
Number 2, I fucking loved him. And even though he gets a lot of accolades, I still think the WWE has done him wrong. Yeah. And that is from West Newbury, Massachusetts. I got to do it.
Okay.
And that is John Cena. Come on.
Wow.
He ran an era for like,
he
has that like Jim Rice thing where for like 7 years, the most feared hitter.
Yeah.
Maybe didn't have, but like, he could not lose. He was just awesome.
Yep.
And they would allow him to get booed by half the fucking crowd.
Yep.
I used to hate that. And then like the digs on him, you know, when he'd get into it with other wrestlers, they'd go after him like personally and try to make it so he'd be unpopular. A lot of the stuff with Cena, like people would say like about, oh, he's hogging the limelight. He's doing this and that. Like, dude, what the fuck is up with that? Like, you're taking cheap shots. Like, and it wasn't one guy. It was everybody. We always take these cheap. I'm like, you're making people not want to like him.
Right.
Like, even when CM Punk would do his shit with him, it's like, dude, that's your number one guy. Why are you making people like saying these personal things like, oh, he doesn't let other people win, or he's politicking backstage? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're making him like unlikable. It's bullshit. He fucking kept that stuff. Those seats filled.
Oh yeah,
he did. And he was one of those guys when we were first starting out, like around WrestleMania, they would have like a media access day for like reporters and talk show hosts and stuff to do interviews. And it would be like an early call. It'd be like 6:30 in the morning. It was ridiculous. And you get there and Cena would be there. Like Cena would be like
super professional.
He would be like telling people, let's put the signage here and let's put the tables. Like, that's John Cena. That's the champion. That's like the biggest star. And he holds the record as the most wishes for
Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yeah.
And
amazing.
He is the greatest ambassador for WWE between corporate gigs, promoting the show. Good guy. And he got into movies. He's still promoting, and he does everything with a smile. And the shit that he gets, which is bullshit. I don't care. He's got the 5 moves of doom, whatever they fucking call it.
Doesn't matter. That's all he needs.
Exactly. He still fucking would make it work. I loved him. I think he's great. I think he's getting screwed. He's never going to win that last championship to break Ric Flair's record.
No.
I wish they did. They bring him back. I think he's lost his last 6 matches.
Imagine.
Over the last 5 years. They brought him back for 1-offs and 2-offs. And he hit these big matches. And he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
No.
he's Teflon.
He's got such a brand. He's got such a faint,
But
like
that's
a
I
following.
still think they've done him wrong. He
Yeah.
should be given that one. He should be the 17th. No
Yeah.
offense. He should get that extra championship and be the one that holds the most.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. But I love Cena. Let's go to your number one, Dave. I'm curious.
All right.
So that last statement you made, I completely disagree with because my number one is the boy Ric Flair.
Oh my God. No way.
To me, he's the greatest of all time. So if we had this list of the greatest of all time, he would be number one. And number one on most popular. He's the guy that he's been my favorite wrestler since 1985.
Yep.
And there's a lot of times he makes an ass out of himself. You know, he's kind of like, you know, your crazy ass grandfather that's getting, that's got no rules. But he's still the greatest of all time. And he's probably bigger now than he's ever been.
He's a legend.
And you can thank social media for that, because go and look at all the memes and all the everything that all the Ric Flair stuff, like the T-shirt you're wearing right now, Dave. I mean, it's like,
because he's got that Gene Simmons rock star, like flash it. I'm the fucking champ. When he would walk into any city, he wanted everyone to know the champ is here.
That's right.
Limos and fucking rings. Yep. Did you ever see that thing he did with Piper? Like that wife swap thing?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Piper was like this fucking living like this Mormon lifestyle, and they switched, and he would say to like Flair, like, dude, how are you living like this? You're gonna die.
And that's the thing.
Piper dies.
That's the thing. It's like that whole thing was like an intervention.
Yeah.
To get Flair to slow down and stop, and like all these people that were telling him to slow down are gone. And he's still like getting hammered and going into pizzerias and going off on the owner, like,
and just buying drinks. And you're like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude? The champ is here. I gotta buy drinks. I'm a millionaire. I gotta act like it. I gotta buy." Like Piper's like, "You fucking can't live like this, Rick. What are you doing?"
One of the greatest moments of my life, and I swear to you, it's like it's the birth of my daughter, marrying my wife, and then this.
Yeah.
It was, I'm with my wife. We're out a little outside Chicago, and it was around that first All Out in Chicago, AEW, and my phone rings, and it's after midnight, and it's a private number, and I was like, oh my God, and I answer it, and it's Ric Flair, and it's him saying, "What, LaGreca? Come down to the bar. Come on, let's go." And I'm like, unfortunately, he wasn't in the same hotel nor the same city that I was in. But the fact, that was just like the invitation.
Yeah.
The invitation, it almost was better off that I didn't meet up with him, because maybe it would have ruined the memory.
Right.
Him calling me, like, he's my all-time favorite. He's the greatest. He's my all-time favorite. So, without a doubt, Ric Flair.
Well, we can continue the gushing, because that's my number one, Dave. And it's amazing. Not that it's a stretch. The guy's like an icon. He's legendary. But your shirt as soon as I saw you come on with the shirt, I'm like, oh God, now I need that shirt. But yeah, all the same reasons for you. He's the longevity, the character, the entertainment value. His ability as a wrestler, inside the ring, outside the ring. It's just everything you want when you think of wrestling. He's the fucking king.
And it's kind of like, I guess, with you guys with Kiss, like when it comes birthdays and holidays, what do I get? What do I get Tom? What do I get to? I get him something Kiss, get like whatever.
That's
like,
right.
That's me with Flair.
Yeah.
Go to RicFlairShop.com. Pick one.
Right.
I'll be happy.
Yep.
So.
Wow. Yeah, it's funny. Did you like his portrayal in the Iron Claw?
I haven't seen it yet.
That was awful.
I haven't seen it yet.
I thought they'd make him look more of an ass, but he wasn't that bad, right? I don't think they made him.
I thought the guy who portrayed him was terrible, though.
But the talking parts, when he seemed like they made him like a cool guy at least.
Well, but here's the thing, and I asked him about this, and he said that would never happen, because back then they made sure that the heels and faces were never seen together. So there would be no way that I would say I would invite one of the Von Erichs to a bar because publicly they would never be seen in the same place at the same time.
But isn't that like so? I mean, I should ask you this more off the record, but remember all those stories you'd hear about wrestlers that you don't remember them why they left, but all of a sudden they were off TV. Wasn't it like that guy, the big Japanese guy and Ken Patera? Then they beat up like 20 cops together or something like that.
The old story is that they went to like a McDonald's
and they wouldn't open him up
and
for him
it was
something.
Closed.
Yeah.
So, and it turns out like the manager, like it was like some kid and he was like giving him the finger and talking shit. So Mr. Saito,
Fuji's partner.
Mr. Saito picked up a boulder and just threw it through.
And like Ken Patera was like fucking putting people in like, I don't know, moves or something. I don't know. But I heard like all these guys, you'd hear about like these guys traveling on the road and they get into fights or accidents that shouldn't have been together technically.
Right.
But those
the biggest one was Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Iron Sheik. They were in a feud. They were in a feud together and they got pulled over like smoking weed on the Jersey Turnpike. And dude, that killed Jim Duggan's career. Like he still wrestled after that.
Yeah.
They were giving him a major push to be like one of the top stars. And when that happened, Sheik was gone. And then Duggan stayed, but he was never nearly the same.
Yeah, the American versus the Iranian guy.
Right.
Yeah, they both got busted smoking weed together.
Right. All right, Zeus. All right.
Mine's easy. Come on. It's got to be one or the other for me. It's Hogan. To me,
okay.
He's the greatest wrestler of all time. And when I say that, he's not just my favorite. I think he's the greatest because he drew more people.
Yeah.
He brought wrestling. The fucking Time magazine. Wasn't he on Time magazine?
Yes, I believe
Sports
so.
Illustrated.
Sports Illustrated.
Oh, just changed I don't think there's ever been a bigger star than him.
No.
And, you know, nobody really had a problem other than maybe some of the other wrestlers. He was a champ for like 4 or 5 years. He never supposed to lose. You never expected him to lose. He was when you're a kid, you know, say your prayers, eat your vitamins and whatever steroids he was talking about. But like he was just bigger than life. He was the first big guy that was a good guy.
Yes.
All the big guys were always bad. You know, you had Big John Studd, King Kong Bundy, Avalanche, like those huge guys.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, Hogan's 6'7".
Yeah.
And he's a good guy.
And he's a good guy. And he's a likable guy. Like you wanted to,
and he's a real American.
I was just going to say that he comes out with a real American shit. And then, like I mentioned earlier in my list, like the Rocky III thing. I mean, like he was undeniable.
I was never a Hogan guy, but I'll say this, and a lot of people don't want to hear it, but it's 100% true. Like Cody right now is the guy, but if Cody's not on the show, they're still going to sell out.
Yep.
You know, back in the day in the 90s, like if Stone Cold wasn't on the show, they would still sell out because you have Undertaker, you have Rock. Same thing with The Rock. Rock's not on the show, you had Stone Cold. Like,
Yep.
But if Hogan wasn't on the show, and I know this because I was going to wrestling back in the 80s, and I used to go to the Meadowlands with my dad, hold 20,000. If Hogan's on the show, 20,000. If Hogan wasn't on that show, 7,000. Like the place would be half empty.
Yep.
There would be no WrestleMania without Hulkamania.
Yeah, exactly.
The reason they called it WrestleMania because Hulkamania was
because of Hulkamania.
Big.
Yeah, good point.
And he goes to the WWF, becomes the biggest guy. They go national because on the back of Hogan. And then he leaves, goes to WCW, and then becomes the third man and becomes the part of the NWO. And then the NWO blows up, and WCW is the hottest show in pro wrestling.
The coolest faction of all time.
That's all because of Hogan. To me, the biggest star in the history of pro wrestling is Hulk Hogan, and to me, it's undeniable.
Oh, I agree with you.
I agree. You know, and the other part I get.
And that's not to mention slamming Andre.
Oh, yeah.
Even though he used to slam him before that all the time. But to us, seeing him in WWF, is the first time it's ever happened, right? Nobody's going to slam Andre.
Yep.
But what I got always from him is like, here's another one like Cena. I got very defensive because nowadays it's the cool thing to do is shit on Hulk Hogan.
Oh, of course.
Oh, he's this. He held people down. Oh, I can't do it, brother. And all that other shit. Yeah. I don't give a fuck. I think a lot of it's jealousy and a lot of it's stupid. And the real guys, like the Valentines and all the other ones, are like, do you know how much money I made because of Hulk Hogan?
Yeah.
Oh, God,
They knew. And they're like, yeah, let Hogan get the fucking best seat on the plane. Let Hogan go to the buffet.
He was the guy. He was the one outside. Like I said, he sold the thing. Now, listen, Hogan lately has done some shit outside the ring.
Yeah, he said the stupid comments he made. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And then, he's, sleeping with his best friend's wife and, a lot going on there.
Yeah.
But it's undeniable he's the biggest star in
I will tip my hat to you too, because he says all the time on the record, number one guy of all time is Ric Flair. He says it straight up.
Oh,
no holds back. He's not trying to be nice. He goes, nobody could go like Rick. He's like, Ric Flair's the number one guy.
Well, to me, back in our day, like you were either a Hogan guy or a Flair guy. You're a Flair guy or a Hogan guy. So I was always a Flair guy, but I respect Hogan for what.
The same thing with Flair. Like you got to give it to him. His promos, his wrestling, his acumen. It's just all of them. Great fucking list here, guys.
There's a great story, really quick. Great Ric Flair story. Terry Taylor is wrestling Flair at the Superdome in New Orleans, biggest match of his career, and it's like 30 minutes before the show starts, and there's no Flair. Flair shows up, hungover, a mess, and he says, "Somebody get me a cup of coffee and wake me, and when it's time for me to go." And Terry Taylor's pissed off because this is the biggest match of his career. He's in the main event. He's wrestling for the NWA Championship. He's ready to go. Dude, he's waiting in the ring. Out comes Flair looking like $1 million. 30 minutes into the match, Terry Taylor's like, come on, let's wrap this up, please. Like, I've had enough. Because, dude, Flair could go out and party till 3 o'clock in the morning, and then the next day run on the treadmill for 3 hours and then be ready to go that night. Like,
he's a machine.
Machine.
Love it.
Hey, thank you for doing this list with us. We appreciate it, but
oh my God, Dave, this is a blast.
I got to ask you a couple
you guys got me back into wrestling. I feel like a little kid now. Now I'm going to be even more back into it.
The whole CM Punk Drew McIntyre shit I watched Flash at the Castle. Where do you stand on that?
Oh, well, listen, you know what? I think Drew has an argument about he keeps getting screwed over. Dude, CM Punk is just a gift that keeps on giving, that guy. It's unbelievable. Like, it's just, I don't think there's ever been a wrestler that has caused more controversy, more talk, but you can't wait to see him, and you can't wait to see what he does next. He is, I think, the most polarizing wrestler of all time.
I can't stand him. So that's great.
That's the thing. Like, I'll make a post. Like, I made a post. Like, I'm on Team Drew. Fuck Punk.
Yeah.
And like 50% are like, I'm with you, and the other 50% are like, fuck you, LaGreca. Like, I don't think there's ever been somebody that like is an asshole.
Yeah.
And either you love the asshole or you hate the asshole. And but and it's worked for him.
I like Drew McIntyre. I think he would make a great champion again. I think his mic skills have gotten so much better, and he's just got the look, and he can wrestle. And I put the belt on him. The guy fucking ran the whole thing when COVID was going on. You can't throw him a fucking bone now.
Never defended the title in front of it. So let me ask you guys something.
Yeah.
Are your fans gonna like this show? Because like, we're not talking kid. Like, are they gonna be pissed? They're gonna be
pissed. Dude.
I like this show. I don't give a fuck.
But that's why. But David, that's why we created the Dorm Damage, the sidecast. We talk about everything. We talk about video games. We talk about fucking, movies, friggin' wrestling.
Yeah, you like the topic. Listen, you don't. The Kiss show will be on Saturdays.
That's exactly right. We've done episodes on like our top 10 favorite horror movies, our top 10 gangster movies. Now we got top 10 wrestlers. Like Zeus said, if you don't like it, wait for the Kiss episode to drop on Saturday. But I'll tell you right now, I guarantee people are going to be like, oh shit, we're talking wrestling.
All right, cool. All right, thank you guys, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, buddy. Really
to have you back again, David. Thank you so much for doing this, brother. Oh, wait. You got to tell everybody where they can find your different avenues and
plug away
media.
All right, I'm on the show is at Busted Open Radio on Twitter. I'm at David LaGreca, the number 1, at David LaGreca 1. We're live 7 days a week from 9 to noon Eastern time on Sirius XM Fight Nation on Sirius XM. But we're also available the Busted Open podcast. So wherever you get your podcast, Busted Open. And then we're on YouTube. So look us up, Busted Open on YouTube. Subscribe so you always get a notification whenever there's a new video. And yeah, man, big things. And we're fighting for 24/7. We're hoping to get an entire Busted Open channel on Sirius XM. So, that's our next goal. So we're going to try to make that happen before the end of the year. So
awesome, Dave. Thank you so much, buddy. This is a blast. And I got to get that shirt. You're wearing. Love it. Thanks, man.
Love you guys. Thank you so much, man.
All right. Well, till next time. Peace out, Girl Scout. You over here? Yeah, I'm over here now.
Zeus, it's me. I want to end the show now.
Jesus Christ, Tom. Jesus Christ. Let's end the show now while we got the muscle.